Finally, we have arrived at the Nkuhumas, but I have to warn you, I have got a case of hiccups again, and I apologize. I'm going to try and keep them hidden, but sometimes they just sneak out when I'm trying to talk. And I had hiccups earlier, actually, and then Brian gave me the absolute fright of my life, and they disappeared. But he won't be able to do them again because we're sitting with Nkuhuma Pride. They are hiding in some very, very thick vegetation, though. You can see, those are the cubs. I can only count 3 for the moment. I think the others are all lying off just to the left of these 2 that we can see. Unfortunately, I don't think we'll get a view of them. We can barely poke our nose in here. And then there's also only 3 lionesses. The others, our Amber Eyes girl and the youngest Nkuhuma lioness, are still missing. They are still on their own little adventures at the moment. But they seem very, very, very comfortable over here. Not in any race to get up and start moving. And if I remember correctly, I think Tristan had said that it looked like the Nkuhumas, sorry, my hiccup's so horrible, had eaten something. So I wonder what they munched on. And that could possibly explain their behavior, why they're not excited to jump up and move on. Well, let's see. A couple of yawns, a bit of scratching going on now. Maybe we'll get lucky. I just hope that they don't decide to go walking through this vegetation, because it would be impossible to follow them. So if they do go, they have to go out of this 2-track and back on the road and walk down the road for us. Hello, girls. It's not funny. Brian's laughing at me every time I hiccup and I can't get a word out. It just... I think this is the second time now that I've had hiccups while being live. And it's great. Oh, this is a goodie. Rachel, you're wondering when is the last time I saw a scrub hare? Actually, last night. Last night I saw one. Was it last night? Yeah. We always see them at night, just as the sun goes down. We'll probably see some on the way home. But we normally don't show them, though, Rachel, just because of the spotlight, which is a little bit of a problem. Ah, Rachel, you got me. You thought that I was going to get rid of my hiccups. Sadly, it didn't work. But if I tell you the way that Brian got rid of them, I actually have to tell you very quickly. So there's one lioness is doing a big stretch now, so hopefully she's going to get up. And a big yawn. Thank you, girl. But don't go further into that thicket. As we'd arrived, what had happened was... we were driving around, and the next minute Brian shouted at the top of his voice, "Watch out! Watch out!" And I slammed on brakes and swerved out of the road thinking that I was going to hit something. And I wasn't. Anyway, that got rid of my hiccups very well. I didn't have them, but like I said, you can't really shout that at the moment. It might aid in the Nkuhumas getting up, but of course we're not able to do that. That wouldn't be very ethical to start shouting about in this sighting. Now you might hear a couple of other voices as well. We've got a few guides who are joining us in this lovely sighting. Come on, girls. I think it's time you get up and put on a show for us. No. See, they gave us false hope there. They got up, they opened their eyes, they yawned, they stretched. And now they are, well, lying about. Now, Leslie, and then we've had this question actually come through a couple of times, and it's an interesting one. So Leslie wants to know if those 2 other lionesses are perhaps off and they've maybe given birth. It's hard to say, but when I saw them last, which was 3 weeks ago, maybe 2.5 weeks ago, they didn't look like they were showing any signs that they were pregnant at all. They had no swollen mammary glands. Their bellies were slightly full, but I think that's because both of them had eaten something, not particularly big. But I didn't see any swelling on the mammary glands or any signs that they had, that they looked like they were carrying. But that was also quite some time ago. And with lions is that the gestation period is so short, it's just a mere 3.5 months, that you almost can't tell that they are carrying young right up until the last couple of weeks. So we could have missed that. So maybe they are. I'm not sure, though. I'm uncertain, and I'm reluctant to want to say anything, because like I said, last time I saw them, they weren't showing at all. And there's a topic which we've been discussing around camp is, and David has asked it, with the other 2 lionesses that have now left, does this mean that the pride is going to split? I don't think so. I don't think it's going to come to that. Brent and Jamie were saying that maybe it's because they're coming into estrus again that they've moved on. And I'll never forget, I think it was just before we'd seen the Nkuhumas, before that one TV show, we just missed them, but we picked them up then for the Sunset Safari, is that, oh no, I've completely lost my train of thought, but it'll come back to me now in a moment. It's actually not an uncommon thing for lionesses to split up like that. And there was also a Birmingham that was pushing the pride the last time that they were seen together, which is what Rexon and I were out tracking for. The whole pride was together, and they'd been pushed. So I wonder if they just didn't get sick of that Birmingham sort of being quite boisterous around them and moved off and hiding from them, because if they do come into estrus, those males are going to try and track them down and try and mate with them. Oh, my fast asleep kitty cats. Look at that, not even moving. The leaf is moving more than this lioness is. Now, Keith, you've asked how common is it for lions to chase leopards? When they come into contact with each other, it's very, very common, and it's most always the lions chasing the leopards up to the tops of the trees. We haven't had a sighting like that for ages. There was a sighting, the most recent one, we didn't get to see it sadly, it was on Buffels Hook, but Mvula, a male leopard that traverses around Buffels Hook, was sort of kept up in a tree by one of the Birmingham boys who was feeding on a buffalo, and every now and then when the Birmingham boy would go to sleep, Mvula would come down and try and munch away. But he'd get spotted and then he'd be chased straight up the top of a tree again. But Jamie had an incredible sighting last year. I think it was just after I'd started working here, so sort of the end of September, I would guess. And she had it where the youngest Nkuhuma lioness, it was Tingana, I think, that was chased up the tree, which was pretty spectacular. It was Tingana. So that was the last time we've actually had a sighting like that, if I can recall correctly. But it's not often. If a leopard picks up on the scent of a lion, I'm pretty sure it's going to go the opposite direction. As you know, even these lionesses are bigger than a big male leopard and wouldn't stand a chance against one. So they will move off. And they don't want any of these animals. They don't want unnecessary conflict. They want to avoid it. They want to live as well. I think we're going to have to move off here, though. It's a pretty tight spot, and I know that there were a couple other guards that were just finishing off sundowners and wanting to come through. I don't think that the Nkuhumas are going to get up and do too much more, so we'll come back and follow them again in the morning. But let's go across to Brent, who has still got the lovely Tundi.